William Regal had an agreement with AEW over a WWE return. We'll get into that in a second. Plus, future plans for MJF have been revealed and scrapped plans for a Raw team. We'll get into that. It's all in the wrestling news right now. William Regal has been on the lips of wrestling fans over the past day or so since he was punched in the back of the head by MJF with those nugs.
Nasty man.
So this is how the story's gone so far. Dave Meltzer said he has 1 year on his contract. Then Dave went, scratch that, it's 3 years. Then other sources said, oh, no, it's up at the end of the year. Sean Ross Sapp said it's up this month and he's free to go as and when. And now Brian Alvarez weighs in with something else that, if this is the case, this is an interesting little twist in the story. Brian Alvarez says the belief among people within WWE is that when he signed with AEW, William Regal had an agreement where if Triple H returns to power, he can go back to WWE. And Triple H is now back in power. Whether this is the case, we will, I'm sure, find out soon enough. This is quite the caveat for a contract, if this is the case.
Absolutely. I mean, I wonder at that point, when there was talks between William Regal and AEW, Vince McMahon still in power, I wonder if Tony Khan was just like, yeah, let's sign it with that caveat in there, because it'll never happen.
He's like, oh, we'll sign a thing when the pigs fly, you can go back.
Yeah, and then that happened, yeah.
So okay, if this is, and again, pinch of salt on this, because, numerous reports have said numerous things, including, and lots of sources have spoke about the strong likelihood of William Regal returning to WWE. Wrestling Observer, Fightful, PW Insider, and Wrestling Observer Radio via Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez have talked about it. And it does seem like a case of maybe if this was written in, do you think, as you're saying, it was written in because nobody thought it would ever happen?
I mean, I feel like, I imagine if it was written in that way, that is perhaps the thinking right there. Because if it was perhaps supposed to be a 3-year long deal with this little caveat in there, and Tony Khan is thinking, well, Triple H not going to be in power anytime soon, and then all the stuff about Vince McMahon came out. I mean, it's a strange little thing to have in a contract there, though, I imagine.
It is.
It feels a bit weird to have that specificity in there.
Fightful Select had some words from people behind the scenes at AEW regarding Regal's situation, saying William Regal could already be on his way out, as we have learned that talent is of the belief that William Regal's AEW deal could be up in December of this year, i.e. this month. This was also being speculated at this past weekend's WrestleCade event. And it all signs point to Regal, Wednesday night being Regal's swan song.
Absolutely.
With AEW.
I feel like we'll find out, won't we, sooner rather than later, I imagine. But it's just like, just with people saying different things at the moment, it's an interesting one.
It is indeed. I know that Triple H and William Regal have a very strong connection, and it wouldn't surprise me if such a caveat was in. But you know what? We'll keep an eye on this, and when we know more, you will know more as well. What does the future hold in store for the man what punched William Regal in the back of the head, Andrew?
Dastardly man, let me tell you, Tom. So from the Wrestling Observer, the idea is to build a major program with MJF versus Danielson for the title, and MJF putting Regal out as the catalyst of that going forward. Whether that's the Revolution main event in March in San Francisco, which would mean it would take 4 months to get to that match, which feels quite a long time to get to that match, or they do a TV match and perhaps use that to build to a pay-per-view match, is unknown. But it feels like it's going that way, especially recently. We saw Wednesday night. There we go. Getting my days mixed up. We saw Brian Danielson coming to the aid of William Regal, trying to help him out, make sure he was okay, stretched him off and everything. So it does feel as though it's going forward in that direction. Looking forward to seeing that. will they ever pull the plug on Danielson being champion? I feel like you don't take it away from MJF.
Pull the trigger?
Yeah, sorry.
Pull the plug would mean to kill him off.
Yeah, don't pull the plug.
What's this, Impact Wrestling?
What's going on? It's happening again. Yeah, sorry, no. Is it? Yeah, pull the trigger on it. Will they ever pull the trigger on him being world champion? Because I feel like you don't want to take it off MJF so soon. I feel like March is a little bit too soon to take the title away from MJF. I think he's going to go on a bit of a reign of terror, as he so alluded to in his promo.
Maybe Bryan Danielson becomes the first and the last person that MJF defends the title against.
Maybe.
First time round of Revolution, Danielson comes up short, and then it is the long road back for him to finally be the one to take out MJF, because I think CM Punk was going to be the guy in the mix for this whole storyline. That not happening right now. So maybe it's going to go to Bryan Danielson, and we start telling a long story here. I'm not in a rush to see MJF drop the title. He's only just got it, for goodness sake. And I love the idea of him being a champion for a long time, an elusive, nasty piece of work as a champion.
Absolutely. I was hoping maybe that Eddie Kingston might take him off it at the end, but if it's like bookended with Danielson, I wouldn't mind that either. I wouldn't say no to that.
No. Hey, speaking of CM Punk, what's the story with him in Fight Forever, the AEW video game?
#AEW has confirmed to Sportskeeda exclusively that CM Punk has not been removed from their upcoming Fight Forever game. Now, we saw that the cover of the game had been changed, which I think led to some speculation as to whether CM Punk himself had been removed from the game, and that is apparently not the case.
No, because he was on the cover at one particular point, like he was front and center.
Front and center, yeah.
Practically the very next day, they gave him away. And I think that him coming out of the game would have been a real shame. Like, you can still have some fun with CM Punk in a video game. Maybe, you know what? If they lean into it, enhanced story mode, press conference mode.
Oh my God, could you imagine that? Do you remember when there used to be all like the backstage stuff in the WWE games? And you could choose like your dialogue and things would pop off. My God, I wouldn't say no to that.
A to shoot on Colt Cabana. B to eat muffin. like it'd be like Parappa the Rapper.
Oh God, yes. Yes, please.
I work with effing children.
Punch and bite. It's all in the mind. If you want to test me, I'm sure you'll find. The more I'll eat you.
Nevertheless, you get a lesson from Omega now, kick. Let's talk about another former AEW guy, Cody Rhodes, who was unceremoniously removed from the WWE world.
Yes.
Due to his shoulder being ripped off the bone.
Oh dear.
We got an Observer update on Cody Rhodes. It says Dave Meltzer says his recovery is indeed going well. He's been working heavily with top-level trainers to put on size and strength and hit 240 pounds legit, maybe the thickest he's ever been. He's back to normal when it comes to his ability to train and lift. No word on when he'll return. It makes sense for it to be a surprise. The thing is, based on storyline, his natural return program is Rollins, but Rollins is now a very popular babyface. It is indeed. They kind of, in storyline world, he was wiped out by Rollins and sledgehammer. But that ship has very much sailed.
It's sailed, but I mean, yes, Seth has been sort of portraying a babyface and then sort of not, because recently on Raw, in a promo leading up to the match at Survivor Series he had with Lashley and Theory, he very much spoke about how he put Cody on the shelf, and that felt like a heelish maneuver to me. So I don't really know where he lies at the moment.
Shades of grey.
Shades of grey.
Shades of grey.
Shades of grey. 50. Some would say.
Speaking of Monday Night Raw, let's talk about the original plans that were scrapped for a Raw team. What are we talking about here, Andrew?
So we've heard a few stories about damage control in the past and how the concept had been thrown around and ignored for years during the previous administration. Dakota Kai, though, talked about it on the Getting Over podcast and revealed the first lineup of the faction. And let me tell you, it sounds pretty interesting. When Bailey first mentioned it to me a couple of years ago, it was myself, Dakota Kai, being Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, Tegan Knox as well.
So
that's very interesting.
Ray and Tegan Knox.
Yeah, those were the ones that were there from the start, and obviously things that happened from then until now, everything changes. All the stuff happened, people got released and everything as well. That would have been a nice team up to see as well. I'm happy with Dakota Kai and Io Sky because I love those two. I think they're absolutely phenomenal together. But Tegan Nox and Candice LeRae, though, as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be intrigued to see Tegan Nox and her chops as a heel.
Yeah.
I think she'd be quite good.
Well, there was like a little hint of that, right? There was her and Shotzi were starting to do that in SmackDown Live events, and I think it was just before she got released from the company. So yeah, I would have really liked to have seen that on main roster television.
Well, we won't.
No.
We don't. I know. We've got a good version of Damage Control, though. So let's enjoy what we have.
Absolutely.
Let us enjoy your weekend together. Well, we'll enjoy ours. You enjoy yours separately, I think.
We can all enjoy it together.
Let's all enjoy it together. Matthew, Ross, and Jack are on the podcast later on today, going through your questions in the mailbag this week in the wrestling. And one big question as well. Anything you want to plug across the weekend?
No, I don't think so. Just have a bloody lovely weekend, everybody. You've got North Wrestling.
That's in a couple of hours' time.
Yeah.
We're sold out as far as I know, unless there's some tickets on the door. I can tell you for a fact that up the road in Newcastle upon Tyne at Anarchy Brewery, we've got Effie.
No.
Effie's in the country. Effie's at Up North Wrestling in a few hours' time. Joe Hendry is defending the Impact Wrestling Digital Media Championship later on tonight as well. Loads of other good stuff. If you can't get there tonight, it'll be on IWTV a week from Tuesday. I'm your announcer, I'm your commentator, and I'll probably be selling T-shirts at an intermission as well.
Oh.
Who knows? And more wrestling news throughout the day and across the weekend at Cultaholic.com. Case.
Love you, bye.